Well, it's 7:05, so we're going to start our meeting. Our main topic tonight was Habitat for Humanity. So far, they have not shown up, so we'll go ahead and have the meeting, and well, maybe they'll show up later. First, I want to welcome everybody tonight, and especially those who are attending for the first time. How many are here for the first time? Everybody's been here before. Good. Good. You know what to expect there. Good. The minutes have been distributed. The Treasury report, we have $2,115.99 in the Treasury. That's the first part. The next part is our impact officer. So we're going to have a report from them now.
Hi everybody, I'm Ken.
Hey Ken.
Hi, Ken. Les couldn't be here today, so I apologize. Our impact officers, I believe, are going to come at another date. So instead, we brought one of our best code enforcement officers, Dominic, Grillo, and he's got some updates for everybody. So that being said, give it to Dom.
Thanks. So I will go through a brief presentation about what code enforcement does, and then at the end, I know we all have a property in mind that has been blighted for a little bit, and I'll give you the updates on where we are in the process on that property. So I am Code Enforcement Officer Dominic Grillo. I've been with the city for about 5.5 years. Code enforcement is non-sworn personnel that work for the city that ensure the attractiveness and safety, health and safety of the community. Our primary duties involve public nuisances, public health safety, business activities, housing standards, and land zoning standards. We deal with some of the common violations, neglected landscape. We are coming into our busy season right now with weed abatement season. So we will be getting out there to start having those vacant lots, making sure the property owners take care of the vacant lots, making sure that residences, private homes, keep their lawns down. And we do have a lot of large properties in the city, especially in this area, that need to make sure we have their grass trimmed, especially before the 4th of July. We deal with, and again, we'll get to this later, vehicle parking on unimproved surfaces, lawns, vacant lots, inoperable vehicles, graffiti. You cannot have a inoperable vehicle in public view. So if you have a junker in your front driveway, you can move it into the garage, or you can have a limited amount in your backyard out of public view. They can have a valid P&O, so performance non-op. So if you have a vehicle that does run, but you can't pay the registration, maybe it can't pass smog, it's still operable, you can put it on a P&O, leave it in your driveway, but we do sometimes get out there to say, it looks inoperable, can you drive it and maybe wash it so that way no one's riding on the back. Major, minor vehicle repair. You cannot do any major vehicle repair in public view in your driveway. You can in garages. You cannot, and any minor vehicle repair must be done same day. So changing, if you're adept at auto work and can do brake pads in afternoon, that's perfectly fine. It just has to be operable at the end, and you have to be the property owner, it has to be your vehicle. You can't be running a business where people come and drop cars off. We also deal with what's called encroachment. That's when if you have a vehicle backed out because it's too long blocking a sidewalk or going out to the street, it has to keep we make sure the public right-of-ways are clear for anyone walking down the sidewalk, walking on the street, making sure they don't have to go out to the street, especially for any disabled members of the public that need to get down. Commercial vehicles, you can't have a semi-truck parked in your front driveway. Probably because it's not going to be long enough to maintain, or you'll start encroaching, but those big commercial vehicles can't be there. And it doesn't look great. Right. RV campers and trailers. Other than our mobile home parks, you can't live on in an RV camper or trailer on a residential lot. The reason being, what happens if you need to drain your black water, your wastewater. Sometimes we've had people just put it in the drain. We all know that's not very sanitary. Also, you could start running into electrical hookups as well as more blight issues around the trailer. So we will enforce, you can't live in the trailer, you have to be in the house. For animal impact, for code enforcement, we do have a wonderful animal services division here. And for animal impact with code, we will deal with zoning issues. There are lots in the city where people can have cattle, and we do have them. There are mainly the complaints that we get is going to be about roosters. For roosters, I know they can be loud. They are allowed in certain parts of the city. On lots greater than 20,000 feet, or if they're zoned RD1, RD2, which is a residential lot that is low impact. Every now and then, if you see a house with a big orange tag on it, that might be us as well. The building department also does it for condemned or unsafe houses. If we're getting involved, it could be due to sanitation. We will go out, and if we get a complaint for hoarding or houses where there might be feces all over the ground, also for lack of power or water, because then those people are going to start bringing hookups either from the neighboring houses, generators, or with lack of water, we run into the sanitation issue because the toilet doesn't work. So we will go out and we will conduct inspections if we get complaints, make sure that houses are going to be safe for the neighbors and the occupants inside. A majority of the time it's lack of power and water. And again, I can think of one right off the top of my head where the guy was using a litter box. He was using a camping stove inside. So again, we're having fire issues, we're having sanitation issues. So we make sure that it gets taken care of, cleaned, power and water restored. The city in 2019 passed a rental housing inspection program. We have several dedicated rental inspection officers that inspect all the rental properties in the city, including apartment complexes, fourplexes, duplexes, single family homes. They go out and make sure they check for health, life, safety. We're looking at smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, leaks from sinks. We're also looking at water heaters, making sure that they have the proper earthquake straps, that they have a proper pressure release valve piping, so that if it needs to off gas or off release the pressure, it's not going to come out and burn somebody. Check for broken windows, all the blight issues that we normally see if we just get a complaint. That's our rental officers going through, and they also respond to rental complaints. So if there's a tenant-landlord issue where the landlord is not taking care of a violation, we'll make sure that that gets corrected for the tenant. All right. We also conduct business inspections of some local businesses. We ensure that they have business licenses. Right now, we have provided education for some of our food trucks that come into the city, and we have been able to bring several into compliance with their temporary use permits as well as their business licenses, and making sure that they have the health department's approval and that their trucks are clean and their food is safe to eat. Now, what happens if we ask somebody to take care of a violation, mow the lawn, mow your vacant lot, get your car off the lawn, and they don't do it? Our first step is to send a notice to abate. Says, please fix this issue. Here's a photo of the issue with the code that is being violated. We have a determined amount of time that we will say, please have it corrected by this date. We will go out on or after that date to make sure there's compliance. If there's not, the property owner, is eligible for fees and fines. Now, if we issue fees and fines, we also cloud the title of the property and deem it a nuisance with the county. That way it's that next step of saying there's an issue here. If they try to sell the property or refi, we will get notified, and it can't go through without our certificate of abatement saying Our fees and fines have been paid, and the property is now in compliance. If we have a property owner who has fees and fines, doesn't want to pay them, doesn't want to correct the property, and is just, I'm going to keep this until I pass away, so do whatever you want, bill me however much you want. Old Auburn. And we can get into that case because that's where we are. We went through the fees and fines process. We went through $1,000 weekly fees and fines for the violation. Still not coming into compliance. More cars coming onto the site. So we went with our next process, which is a hearing, an abatement hearing, or hearing of notice to show cause. That is us going before a third-party hearing officer, making our case. The property owner has their opportunity, so their day in court, to make their case of why either the violation is occurring or why it's occurring. And in this instance for Old Auburn, it was, no, I know I'm doing it. I'm guilty. So made my job easy on the hearing side. He has filed an appeal, so we are currently going through the appeals process on that property. Should we be successful in the appeals process, the city we will go get a warrant to enter the property, and then the city will have the vehicles towed and stored. And that's how we finally correct a violation should we have a person with non-compliance for a prolonged period of time. We do try everything we can before we get to this point. We've had conversations with them, been out to the property, again, fees and fines, but sometimes people just don't want to do anything, and that's what requires city abatement for us to finally come in and correct the violation ourselves. So when we get to that point, everything has been tried. We also have what's called a receivership process where we can go, and this is more for health and safety inside of houses. If we have a property that had a fire and now we have a deceased property owner, no one is taking care of the house, it's tagged uninhabitable, what do? There's no one who can take care of the property. We can go petition the court to have them appoint a receiver who takes control of the property and rehabs it. The way they do that is they take the equity out of the house through a loan, pay to have the repairs completed, sell the property. Every point, the receiver has to report to the court, here's where I'm spending money, this is what I'm doing. So it's making sure that they're not just coming in and, oh, I get all this money, I'm gonna go away. So when the property sells, the receiver gets their cut, the courts get theirs, the city gets payment of any fines and fees or costs that are that we have incurred by the property. And any heir or property owner or anyone with interest in the property, say if it's in a trust and we still can't find anybody, they will try to track down the trustee or the heir and get them the remaining finances that are from the sale of the property. But that's, again, how we can bring a blighted property back into compliance. The last time we did a great success story on that one is over off of Loker, near Sunrise and Woodmore Oaks. And that was the exact example. Fired house, a deceased property owner. We had people living around the property in a car in the driveway, and you can imagine how the neighbors would feel about that. So we were able to get it completely cleaned up. It looked amazing and has sold, and a beautiful family's living in there now, being great members of our community. So I gave the 8240 Old Auburn update, but I'm here for any questions you guys might have.
Questions?
Yes.
Can you give us an update on how things are going at the Valero station as well as Copperwood?
Which one? Which Valero?
The one on, help me here, people.
Sunrise and Old Auburn?
Right here. Okay. So I am not aware. I believe the issues are not code. Do you know what the issues are at Valero over here?
The reason I ask is because a year ago, we had someone speaking and, there was a lot going on down there at the time. Valero was having a lot of problem with homeless.
Mhm.
The Food Max area, a lot of problem with homeless. So I just wonder how all that's going now.
Okay. So we do have a wonderful POP team, problem-oriented policing, and they work very well with our beautification team. They're out there contacting our unhoused in the city. They are offering resources, and should they come across vacant camps on city property, then where maybe there's just a pile of trash now, someone left it, and the beautification team comes and does a great job cleaning everything up. If it is on private property, that is where code enforcement will get involved and will work with the property owner to get the blight abated, get it cleaned up. So if it was, say, back behind Valero and it's not on city property, we could work with the property owner to make sure it gets cleaned up, because we know it's not them causing it, but it still does need to be cleaned, as it can bring more if it's not addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Additionally, if you guys want to, you guys should see that still going on. Please make sure you're contacting us, and if you see like the piles of rubbish and that type of stuff, the C-Click Fix, that goes directly over to our general services, which then would also kind of trigger maybe, does everybody know Felicia Taylor?
Yeah.
So some may send in, so she's one of our POP officers with another person named Michael Machado. And those are the two that are going out with our beautification crew and trying to clean up as much as they can clean up. So even if it is on private property, take a snap of it and or call us, and that way we can get our people out to at least get eyes on it to see what needs to be done, and whether that is we're contacting the property owner to see what they can do, or it may just be, we've done it many times where we're just, okay, this is just filth here, let's go ahead and pick it up and let's move on with it type of thing. So, but the C-Click Fix, yeah, that's awesome. That is an awesome ringtone. Yeah, that C-Click Fix, it does go. Yeah. Everybody, Jeannie?
And code enforcement, if it is on private property, we will get notified by C-Click Fix as well. Our general services division will send it over to us. Yes, ma'am?
On my street, I've been here like over 40 years. For the last 25, possibly 30 years, has been a pickup truck that is parked at the side of the driveway on a partial gravel weeds. It has been turned in so many times. It's, I think the last vehicle registration was like in 1980. And it's just, it's awful. I mean.
Do you know off the top of your head the address?
82, trying to think how many.
I'll leave you my card if you want to email me or give me a call with it. I can follow up with it.
You'll see it, it's bright yellow.
On-
It's a classic.
On which
Chevy
street?
truck. Longden.
Longden.
L-O-N-G-D-E-N,
Mhm.
off of Argo in Old Elmer. But they also have another pickup truck that's newer, but it's damaged. And it's not registered either. And it's damaged in the driver's headlight, so it's like not being able to drive.
So if it's still operable, what we ask people is can it drive forward a few feet, drive back a few feet? And that's what we would say, it's operable, even if it was damaged or not street worthy, because that's going to be a requirement of this California Vehicle Code that we, as code enforcement, don't enforce. So if it had a little damage, not road worthy, but operable, and was on a P&O,
Okay.
then they would be able to have it. Sounds like one of these is not, or this might not be the case, but I will make sure someone looks into it.
Thank you. All the neighbors have complained.
I got a question on your favorite house.
Yes.
I go by there all the time because I just live right down the street, and I believe that the guy is laughing at you guys. Because it seems like after your meeting a couple weeks ago or so,
Mhm.
he's added more cars.
Yep.
He's added pallets of merchandise now. He has a pallet of lumber, like he's gonna put a fence up.
He said that.
And now he's going through his side gate on Wintergreen, leaving that open, and he's going through there with all kinds of, not cars. And can't you do anything about the hoods being open environmentally, like that they're working on the cars?
So
They're
that is,
leaking oils, anything like that?
that is a violation. That's going to be corrected if we are successful on our addressing his appeal with us towing all of those off.
What is his reasoning behind this? Does he own a car dealership?
He owns a car dealership in another city and says, oh, this is my overflow. And I just lost the other place I used to keep them at down in North Highlands. Can't keep them here. So that is our ask. That was our ask in the hearing.
Yeah.
He appealed. He has the right to appeal, and we're going through the process, but we're hopefully coming to the end. And he will either abate it, because last time this happened in 2019, we had the same exact process happen. We got a fleet of tow trucks ready to go, and we posted the warrant. We'll be back in 24 hours to get anything in violation. He cleaned it all up.
It's gonna take a lot of tow trucks.
From what I understand, there was a mess load of tow trucks, and the moment we were getting ready to start doing the towing, I think he was removing the last of like 1 or 2 vehicles from the property.
So how much longer do you think that process is gonna take?
We have not had an appeal to one of our hearings since I've been here, so for at least 5 years. So we're going through the process to make sure we're doing everything.
So in the meantime, he can just keep piling on.
Can I ask, what is he appealing? Like, what is his,
The hearing officer's decision that he's in violation.
how do you appeal it? If what he's doing is illegal, what is there to appeal?
It's going through the due process, but he knows that it's gonna buy him more time.
Delay.
It's a delay tactic. Yes, ma'am.
So what about the other house on Old Auburn where the guy's, same issue with his behind the fence, and he's got a gate there that the car always parked in front of the gate?
Same guy.
Same time.
Okay, this is two properties.
He has 2 properties. The 8240, where all the vehicles are that you can see, used to be his mother-in-law's residence. She has passed away and he inherited the house. And he moved from, I think it's 8120 to 8240. 81, that one, because of the fencing, now I know you can see it when you drive by, but if you try to get a photo of that, the fence is still there. Because it's out of public view, we have limited enforcement actions that we can take.
There can't be any, safety issues applied to it. If one of those cars caught on fire and they were trapped in the house,
When was that?
huh?
When was that?
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
if,
yeah,
oh.
question.
Sorry. Because we have to be legally where we're allowed to be, so in public view, and our code says we must view a violation from public view. So we have to be somewhere that we can actually see it. Because it's all behind that fence, we can't see it. He knows that. That's why he's going out to try to build a fence at 8240. We've also told him, because you don't have one already, you're not grandfathered in. For example, if we have some fences that were up when it was unincorporated county and they have different regulations. But he wants to put a 6-foot fence around his entire property. I said, you're gonna be outside setback. That fence is gonna have to be a max of 3 feet, or you're gonna have to move it back 20 feet. And he's been encouraged to go to our planning and zoning department before he does any construction on his property to make sure he's in compliance, because if he's not, we're gonna go through this again. Yes, ma'am.
Does that have anything, can we not go to like EPA or something, because it is not good for the soil? and-
EPA was contacted, and from my understanding, there wasn't much they could do. No.
How long before the fire marshal gets in because he's not cutting the grass?
That would be us. We're going to have notices go out for that. We, like I said, are starting a weed abatement season. The lot next to him has sold and has a
Right.
different property owner. I'm still trying to find them to get them to, one, to make sure that property is maintained. It's, from my understanding, going to be a development, housing development. And any vehicles on their property, they can remove without having us to go through anything, because it's on their property. It can be almost like an abandoned car in your front yard. Yes, sir.
2 questions. How long is this process, you think, it has taken?
His process himself, this is about a year and a half of us going through, noticing him coming either into compliance and then falling back out of compliance, which again, plays the game. Oh, I had a car over here, now it's over here on my driveway. Oh, now it's back, I brought 3 more back over here. You can't do that. Oh, I moved it back over here. So there's been that, and making sure we have the appeals of the hearing officer, getting the warrants ready.
So it's taken a minute.
It takes a minute to go
My
through the
follow-up
process
question
as
is-
it's civil.
How many code enforcement officers do we have?
We currently have, we just hired one, so I'm very happy with that. She started this week. We currently have 4 code enforcement officers, and I'm a senior. So, some of those officers are rental housing officers who are dedicated to going and inspecting our rental properties and have to address that. Straight code enforcement officers, we have 2. So that's 2 officers for the entire city. This is a big case for us to make sure that it is cleaned up to improve the quality of life and aesthetics of the neighborhood out here. We are also dealing with the Sunrise Mall. We are also dealing with, if you guys driven down Antelope and Loppy, there's a vehicle, there's a property out there that's much like this one. We have several in the city that take a lot of time. Most of our cases and encounters with the public of us saying, can you please clean this up? This has to be taken care of. 80 to 90% taken care of after the first letter. Here's a nice photo of the front yard, we're done. We have 10% that take all of our time to continuously go after, continuously issue fees and fines, look for different ways to get these properties into compliance.
Does he have to reimburse you for your time and money? If
I'm
he
sorry?
goes- Would he have to reimburse the city?
We
for
have
time and
gone-
money?
We have gone after properties for reimbursal of officer time, and that would include me going out, how much time does it usually take me to write my notices, my billing, and for that, we also write our own notices. We have to go through our process. It's the code enforcement officer that goes out, inspects, documents, fills out the case, writes the notice, issues the billing, and that's all the way to us putting a stamp on it and putting it in the mailbox. Yes, ma'am.
Probably explain this, and I don't quite understand it. Is there a way to put all the finances that are due to the city, to put a lien on the property?
So the property is clouded, which it's not a lien. I believe there might be a legal process. Don't quote me on that, because our process is to cloud the title should he want to sell it. I think that might have happened in the past with a different property, but I do not quote me on it, because I do not know. If you like, when I follow up with you regarding those vehicles, I will get you an answer. Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between a lien and a cloud? Is it just the cloud they can't sell?
The cloud says the city has an interest in this property, we might have fees and fines, come to us first. A lien is, this property owes me money. To where it's,
Anybody can file.
yeah, it's like an auto lien, eventually you're going to get to an amount, and so, a lien would be better for a house example. You have a contractor come out and do work and don't pay him. He's
Right.
going to put a lien on
Yeah,
the property.
right. Thank you.
Of course. I'm running out of time.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I've got some cards in the back. Should you have any questions or follow-up for us?
Informative. Well, how many times have we all driven by that property? Next on our agenda is updates for the Woodside. Kathy?
Okay, as y'all probably know, the kids are all out of school this week. They're on spring break. The next PTO meeting at Woodside is April 29th. They are planning their first cultural event for May 8th in the evening, 5:30 to 7 p.m. They're hoping to have, I guess, activities and foods from different cultures. This is the first time they're doing it, so they're really, just kind of springboarding out there to try to do something different for the kids. Currently, they have the Woodside Dance and Cheer is having a fundraiser. They have tamales. They're selling tamales. They're coming from a restaurant in Sacramento, which I don't have written down, but they're $25 for a dozen. There's about four variety of 4 different kinds. And the orders are due on April 22nd, which is Tuesday. And then they are expected to be delivered on May 1st between 3 and 5 p.m. at the school. They don't have refrigeration or freezer space to store them for anyone, so you have to be available to go get them or have someone get them for you. And I guess that's all I have.
When do we have to pick up the tamales?
The tamales, you pick them up on May 1st. Okay, any questions?
Thanks, Anna.
Okay.
Okay, next on our agenda is our city council person, Jane Taft. Thanks, Jane.
Well, thank you, everyone. Sorry I've been absent for a couple months. Very excited to be back because a lot's been going on at council. The thing that Bill asked me to talk about was strategic planning and what was a result of our strategic plan. And we did have a formal action to adopt that which we discussed for the strategic plan. I do have a printout of it. Just as a reminder, we do the complete strategic plan every 3 years. So it spans a 3-year period of time. We currently are in the 24-27 strategic plan, and we evaluate it every year for our work plan. So what do we have to do that's related to the overall goals of the plan? And so this time around, we did update the very first goal, which is a goal that's important to all of us, maintain and enhance fiscal stability, and we added this, while supporting operational excellence. Why is that important? It's important because we are customer service oriented in the city, and we wanted a place for our operations to also have their goals. A lot of things that we do in the city are forward facing, but operations is the foundation of getting those services out in the community. And so we wanted, and our operations related departments wanted a space to be able to say, we have goals too that we want to be held accountable to. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Where you have departments saying, hey, hold us accountable. We want the whole public to know that we are doing these things and we have goals to them. And so I think that's actually really, really interesting, and we have several goals that you've never seen before called out specifically that are operational standards. And so I want to call that out to you. The other goals have remained the same, and by the goals, I mean the overarching top 4 goals. So let me read all the goals one at a time so you understand where we are generally. The first goal is, as I mentioned, maintain and enhance fiscal stability while supporting operational excellence. The second goal is maintain public infrastructure and enhance all modes of transportation. And that, of course, is our road work area where all road repair plans go. And you'll be happy to know, by the way, that we have a part of our website that tells you when your street is up for repair. Did you know that? So if you look for it, you will find the name of your street and about when we're gonna come to repair it. And that was really exciting for me because I now know when my street's gonna be repaired. I can't remember it, but I do know where to find it.
Some technician, I'm not even sure if he was with the city, but he put like a white mark in the middle of the road right in front of my house.
Uh-huh.
What are those for? What are some of the things that might be taking
You know, there's so
place?
many reasons why we get marks on the road.
Okay.
So we have all kinds of utilities. So we have water, sewer,
Yeah.
all kinds of drainage and electric and all those
So where
things.
do I'm sorry, I was distracted. My
That's
name's
okay.
Jamie, lived here 24 years, but where do I go to look up what road repairs might be coming up?
You know, I would just call get general services and just say, hey, this is my street.
Oh, so
I have
the app. I could send it through that.
You can do that, but I think you might get a faster answer if you call general services, because they'll have a quick answer for you, because they have a schedule of all of the utilities and repairs and streets and all that. That's a great question. If anybody has questions on markings on your road, because when you're doing yard work and you're tearing up your front yard, I know because I've done this, you call the various utilities to make sure you're not hitting any of their power lines or whatever. And they will mark on your property, but if it's in the street, that's a different concern.
Yeah.
So, you definitely wanna know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In her case, white is proposed excavations.
Oh, how'd you find that out?
I typed
And it was
in-
like a white curly, like it had a double loop.
Oh,
It's right
Yeah,
around the corner
it's-
here. I
it's
live on Glen.
just internet search, road paint color
Oh.
meaning.
the
Thank you.
Google.
Thank
Just
you
come
for
up
The
with-
Google is the master wizard of
That
all
was very
answers.
kind.
So that is the section of our strategic plan that also covers our most interested piece, road work. Diversify for a vibrant economy. This is where we have information about how we're moving forward with our Sunrise Tomorrow and our mall plan. How is that going? What are we doing? What are goals related to that? Along with other things. But if you're looking for a particular place of where is our mall being mentioned in our strategic plan, it's there. And finally, preserve and enhance public safety. This is not only law enforcement goals, it's also homelessness, beautification. This is where that goes, because that's where our public safety meets beautification, right? We all know now that we've had 2 years of our beautification crew, that public safety has been enhanced when we've kept our roadways clear and debris out of our major shopping areas and things like that. I don't often see piles of trash anymore on public walkways. I used to see that all the time. A couple years ago when I discovered C-Click Fix, I was a major user in figuring out, okay, why is this pile of trash in the middle of this block, on Sunrise, and it looks like someone's living under that pile. So, I hope too that you are utilizing all of the ways we can communicate back to the city. For lack of a better term, C-Click Fix is kind of our triage of everything comes in and it gets farmed out to the proper departments. And what I love most about it is you are alerted to the status of your issue or concern as soon as they touch it. As soon as a department touches it and does something with that item, you are alerted. And that's the beauty of the app. So that is one of those things that I truly enjoy about having an app. I sit on the Sunrise Marketplace board, and the board president is a property manager of huge properties. And she said in every community that she has properties, she uses the C-Click Fix app if they have it. And it is the best thing to communicate back with your municipality so you can get immediate services for your concern. And so to me, that is a vote of confidence that this professional property manager, very, very large commercial properties, uses this particular app to communicate with her jurisdictions. And so I encourage you as a private citizen to communicate those concerns as well. It's very, very effective. Now, what I really wanted to talk about was our upcoming city council meeting. So next week, the item that was deferred, Ethan Conrad's request for some amendments to our specific plan, is next week. You heard Ethan Conrad and his team a few months ago come in and talk about what they were proposing. He has since amended his proposal, and a lot of that information is already online. Now, you also heard by reading the Sentinel or hearing our very last council meeting that we did a study mission to Belmar Mall, which is in Lakewood, Colorado. You know, it was very interesting to hear when we were going to plan this study mission that we're going on a vacation, or what we like to call in the political world, a junket, right? You know, you're just going on the taxpayer dime to go over there. And so let me describe our travel itinerary. So we leave on Thursday morning. We immediately get to Colorado and we have meetings. We have meetings with city managers. We have meetings with financial planners. So this is Thursday evening. Friday, all day, we have 4 different properties to visit. We have to talk to the former city manager, current city manager, former mayor, current mayor, their finance people again, because finances have a lot to do with what we're trying to accomplish. The property managers of the property now, how they're managing it. And then we talk to businesses, we go to different parts. And then the next day, we have a debrief as a team, we have one more meeting, and then we get on planes. And so you tell me, was I on vacation or was I working? And so, you know, I always encourage people to ask us what's happening, what is our agenda, before, you know, they make statements like that, because we're not sleeping, we're exhausted, you know, we're in the snow. So what you won't see in all of those pictures is 100% of the time it was freezing there. You know, you see we're all bundled up and the snow is not piling up. In Denver, it's super dry. And so it's not sticking on the ground, but we are cold. And we're walking these 20 blocks and we're walking in the snow. And but what was interesting was the snowflakes were perfect stars. And one of my council member, Kelsey Nelson, took a picture of a snowflake on my sleeve, and it was a perfect, like, 6-point star. So, just fun fact, I guess when it's super dry, you know, snowflakes create perfect stars. But what was interesting about that was we have been talking about the Sunrise Tomorrow plan for many, many years. And I know we are getting fatigued with the anticipation of this amazing thing. When we went to study Belmar, the Belmar Mall, we saw our future. What you will see in the video that we published last week about our meeting was one very, very startling thing. The footprint of our Sunrise Mall and their former mall, I forget what it was called now, is exactly the same. So an inline mall, you know, a mall you can walk in the interior, surrounded by miles and miles, acres and acres of parking lot. And now it is 20 blocks of usable space, mixed use, 2- and 3-story buildings. It's got residential. It's got gathering spaces, fully built out. Well, 98% according to the property manager. But we saw a vision of exactly what our community said we wanted. And so with that feedback and with that on the ground, and it took them 25 years, it did. It takes a long time to get what amounted to, I want to say, $250 million of investment, and they had to do it in different ways so that their community didn't get taxed. They were very creative, and they did so many different financial packaging that put the onus on the developer to really get the project moving, get things built and rented, because that's how you make money. You have rent and you're selling things, right? So we caught a vision of what we could be. And so now we're more dedicated than ever to the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. And I think that is what you want from your council, because if we're going to create a vibrant economy here in Citrus Heights, we need to remember what we could be. Not where we are right now, not what we were, right? Because the past is gone, we can only look forward. What I want to encourage everyone to do, and you need to be our eyes and ears. Do you know a developer? Do you know, the magical part of Belmar's success was they had a relatively young developer, so the developer company was 3 years old. And they thought, we could try that. Can you imagine you're gonna try something for 25 years? They're still around and quite well known for their effort in Belmar. But we need someone willing to take a risk on a very, very supportive community, because what Belmar doesn't have is a community like Citrus Heights that actually loves their city and wants to see it thrive. They had a bunch of citizens groups that were going against whatever the developer was trying to do. So they had to fight their own residents to get movement. We don't have that here, or at least I don't think we do, right? We have a bunch of residents who want something to happen there, okay? So that study mission was very fruitful for our council. We felt very well informed. Yes?
So is it Belmar, do they refer to it as a shopping district?
Yes, the Belmar Shopping
So I've
District.
got images
Yeah,
of- okay,
yeah.
cool. And so that, okay, go ahead, sorry.
No problem. I'm
Very
glad
cool.
you're real-time checking me. So with that study mission in mind, we are entering this evaluation and we're going to hear from Ethan Conrad in his amendment request. So if you look in that information, see what he is now proposing. He has reduced his, from conversations he's had all around the community, he's amended his proposal quite a bit. But I want you to decide, is it the Sunrise Tomorrow plan or going toward it, or is it keeping us stuck in a certain look and feel? So that's something I'm gonna leave to you, because I'm not gonna give my opinion in this. I wanna wait for you to weigh in on what you see so you can tell me how you feel. Because I have certain feelings about it, but I want everyone to get their say. That's really important to me. Yes?
One of the questions that I keep hearing is that Ethan is almost threatening the city that if we don't do what he has proposed, that the mall is just gonna sit there and be sort of like Country Club Center, or it's just gonna, weeds are gonna grow and blights gonna happen, and we wouldn't let that happen, would we, as a city?
Well, we still have owners, and we can still hold, just like our code enforcement, Dominic was talking about that, we are holding them accountable now. That's why it's not as bad as it could be.
Right.
He's not the only owner, there's other owners.
There's other-
Right, we have a total of 4 owners now. We went from 6 to 4. And so now we're dealing with one especially resistant owner. Macy's just closed and they were owner of their property. JCPenney is feeling kind of stuck in the middle, and they're an owner. And then Ethan Conrad. And so you realizing that we have owners, they haven't abandoned it, they still own it. They're the owner of record, and so we can go after them for code enforcement violations, because that's what weeds and other blight will be related to. But they are seriously, as Lieutenant Ken Lewis said, they are a drain on our resources. If we have an emergency and they're cleaning up some nuisance in our mall, we have an emergency somewhere else in our city, it becomes a drain. We have to make some decisions that you need.
So, Nambar's still in the picture, is that correct? So I was trying on the website recently looking for best information, and I was having trouble finding it. So what's the most direct way to get on the city's website to get Conrad's amended proposal and to get the whole,
You know, let me get the information directly, and I'll send it to you, Kat, so you can distribute it, because, I was told just this morning, and I haven't had time to look. So let me get that information, and usually it shows up under council, the council agenda. But it's not there yet, because we post our council agendas on Friday. I actually made a request that we post it early, and they're like, well, it's Wednesday tomorrow, and so you have to wait 2 more days. Okay.
So 6 o'clock on the 23rd, city council meeting.
Correct.
Show up.
Yes, please show up. If you would like to speak, we want to hear from you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please do, because this is all we've got. You know, we are 5 representatives of your voices, but we also put a lot of merit into individual voices from our community speaking out. I want you to talk about how it impacts or could impact your business, how it could impact your residents, how it could impact your quality of life as you drive up and down Sunrise. We need to hear about and from you on all of those issues, because it will all come to bear. So please do support us in that way. Any other questions about that?
I'm gonna be in Orlando next week. I am bummed I won't be at the council meeting.
You can write in.
I will.
Yeah.
And I really think putting a Home Depot where Sears was is so stupid, because Lowe's is right across the line.
Yeah.
You know, I wanna see an has anybody heard of Eataly? E-A-T-A-L-Y, instead of Italy, Eataly. It's a very upscale restaurant, and we wanna bring revenue into the coffers, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't think another Home Depot's gonna cut that.
Yeah, we need to hear you say that. Put it in writing
I'll have
to us.
I did write to
Yeah,
someone.
and it does not need to be long, you know, when you hear write, you know, your comment, it could be, I oppose this because that. That's
Yeah.
it.
And then just, I don't know, can you at all project, 20 years is a long time. I wanna see some development. When will the first phase might begin, once
We need to
decide?
have a willing developer working with willing owners.
So that could take a year.
It could
or-
take several years, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But what's interesting about the Sunrise Tomorrow plan, it's written in phases anyway. And
Mhm.
so it's designed to have a few things show up and then a few more, and you kind of get the ball rolling after that. So revisit the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. It is really, really exciting.
Just because my memory is fading, when was that workshop where we did the original Sunrise Tomorrow?
I want to say it was
4 years?
Whoa,
1999.
No, maybe.
2019.
2019,
I
yeah.
lose what I'm thinking. 2019. Sorry. My timeline is also in my head very wrong. I want to say it was 2019 because I believe that work was done right before shutdown, because we got very excited. We had lots of developers who were looking at our plan and congratulating us on doing the hard work as a community, and then the pandemic hit.
In 2008 or 9, during the crash, Sears closed down, and they had a meeting about things. That was the first meeting on Sunrise. They didn't even have the name Sunrise Tomorrow at that time.
Yeah.
But there was a meeting on, anybody else was there? I hear somebody over,
Yeah, that was,
yay!
I think you were referring to that, Jane.
Yeah, I want to say it was
Oh, I'm
later.
sorry.
It was not quite then. Yeah.
It was a little earlier, but close to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was during the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was shortly after that, maybe, as I recall. All right.
Any other last questions? Please come to the meeting. Yes.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
The Marie Calendar store,
Yes.
where can we get information as to where that is in the stages?
You can call our our economic development manager. Megan Huber, has all the status of, you know, are you looking to see, are they gonna be rented or
Well,
sold?
they have a drive-through, restaurant proposed for it now.
Yeah, if you wanna talk to Megan, she will answer your questions on that. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, it's time to have our guest from Habitat Community. Oh, they're not here, okay, so we can't have Habitat Community. So do the announcements. Next month, we're gonna have the elections, so if you're interested in running for one of the openings, we have opening for president, secretary, and board member at large. That's next month. In May, also, there's a big day of service. We're gonna work with Orangevale in that area. Center Science is the first time they're joining it. So anyway, that's in May 17th. Troy.
Okay. I'd just like to reiterate what Dave was speaking about with regard to the board member openings. We have 3 openings coming up. It's a great opportunity to get involved. You really get to see stuff from the inside that you don't see when you're just a typical resident, and meet people. And so please do consider it. And if you can't do it or don't want to do it, but you know someone who might be really good at it, please do send them along, because we will have nominations from the floor that night. Or, you know, you can write in on the ballots. So please come next month and bring someone that might want to participate and sign up to be part of the board. Okay? Okay.
Good catch.
I know. Okay, pardon me, last 4 digits, 8227. No way. Hey, let's try again. Get your draw better one. Okay. How about 8230?
Right here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kat. That's the end of our meeting. Anybody have any questions or anything? Otherwise, we'll see you next month. Thank you.